will never challenge the brand or disrupt the business they're in. And I think this is what you actually need to do on a daily basis, because there's competition out there all over the place. And it doesn't need to be a big company that's going to kill you. It might be just a small startup like Airbnb or Uber or that kills, or Spotify, from Sweden, killing the whole industry all of a sudden.
That's what the best of the best is about. I mean, you can, when we walk into a new client, we can tell within minutes of the meeting, is this in their DNA or not? Is data in the DNA? Are they listening? Is there a dashboard anywhere to look at and have a look at what's going on? And I think the ones who are native to it and asking these questions, you think of it as it's numbers, it's data. It isn't at all. It's your customers talking to you on a daily basis. And not listening to that is malpractice. There's no other word for it.
You know, I have to say something because you used that word dashboard. And I'm a big data analyst. That's what I do at Adobe. But what's so challenging is that if I just gave you guys a bunch of graphs, you don't know what to do with it. You don't know how to change your business with it. It's just sitting there fallow. And too often dashboards, and I don't know if you've had this experience, I kind of hate the word, that's why I had to like riff off of it. It's just this thing that you get in the mail every week, and you don't even look at, you don't know what to do with it. So big data analysis is completely lost if all of it does is just end up in a graph in somebody's inbox. And this is the challenge, and this is why my job is really, and I can raise my hand as storyteller because I think it's kind of overblown, but it is actually looking at that information and figuring out what does it mean for my business, and that's the skills gap that we have in big data, because we have a lot of analysts who look at data and they are very good at creating charts, but they're not very good at understanding the business, and there's this gap between what to do with that information.
I think there's also a massive data problem. So people are looking at the apps as if apps can solve this, and the data underneath is often wrong. A lot of those all-day data meetings I'm in is about why doesn't that agree with that? Why don't our analytics agree with what we're seeing in our actual transactions? That's just every day. You see it all the time. There's actually a data problem down there. And most of the effort is spent finding out what is actually happening, not the why yet. Why would be great if we could sit around and know for sure what's happening. We could then speculate about why. I'm saying we as in any given client team. But really, there's a ton of energy needed to figure out what is happening. And that's because the data is actually a mess. You know, there's so many silos, so many different apps. There's no one place to pull it all together in a confident way. People aren't that confident in the data yet. And until they're confident, it's really hard to want to base a decision on it.
Plus, some people don't want to be confident in it because they don't want to believe it. They'll find a reason.
Okay. So we're coming up to time, I'm afraid. It's been a great discussion. But coming back to this idea of the best, maybe we can just sort of go down the line and just your observations about what defines the best for you in terms of the brands you talk with and deal with. So Martin, maybe you first.
I'd say probably those who understand their business and know how to utilize mobile, social, and all kind of the latest digital trends. These companies understand how to simplify services. They understand how to optimize content. Then they can leverage the input from customers. And they are open to any change out there in the business and the opportunities that the Internet of Things might give them.
Yep.
And I think that's it, basically.
Okay, great. So,
I mean, for us in B2B, it's a long purchase cycle, and the hardest thing is an attribution model. What actually is working? You know, there are very simple ones out there. The last click gets all the attribution and credit for a sale, or the first click, none of which are very accurate at all. So people who are struggling to build them are making progress. That's a big one. But for me, you know, people who understand the role of content throughout that cycle and how we can serve. I like the idea that content marketing is kind of customer service for people who aren't customers yet. You're serving them, you're helping them. How do we help them all along the journey? So the people for us who are really running circles around the others are the ones who are starting to get what the content needs are all the way through the journey and figuring out good ways to serve those needs.
Fred?
Maybe a message to second-tier brands. Competition has never been that hard, and it will get harder. So now is definitely not the time to waste or spread the resources. So maybe the best thing they can do is learn from the best, in order to get the basic right.
Yes.
This is the basis. The website, the online shop, make it sure that it's right, make it sure that it's leveled up with the best. Then you can try Oculus Rift or whatever, but stick to the basics, especially if you have limited resources.
Yeah. Right. Thank you. Gary?
Yeah, and for me, I think I see sort of like, I meet these two types of brands. One, they talk about traffic in thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and they talk about traffic and data as these sort of these sets. But then you have the companies who are sort of like each and every visit are like a piece of gold, and they're not going to waste even. They're sort of like always optimizing, always iterating to make sure that they have a great service level for that. And if they win 5 new loyal lifetime ambassadors each day, that might be 5 more than their competitors are winning each day.
Yeah.
And that goes back to, I think, what Fred was talking about the hard work that it really is. So I think I had a lot of good things on stage, both yesterday and today, about sort of this internet of me, that you can scale, but it's all about the creativity and the quality, and you need to be very careful, because these are potential customers, and you need to really see them. So I think that's why I'm going on very long here, but